Let's start with that. And you do say you're a fiscal conservative. They just had a vote in Congress a couple weeks ago in the House on the Ryan budget. It was narrowly passed. 12 Republicans, in fact, did not vote for it. If you were in Congress to the seat you're running for, would you have voted for or against the Ryan budget?
Well, the Ryan budget is certainly better than what we have now. It reins in some spending. I haven't read the entire budget, but I agree with the principles of balancing the budget over time. I actually think I would have voted for something even more dramatic than the Ryan budget, something that cuts spending now, not in 10 years. And that's my concern, is a lot of these budgets, and I think even the Ryan budget fell into this, where it's a 10-year balanced budget plan, but all the balancing occurs in the last 5 years. And so it's a trick. What ends up happening is you go into 5 years. In fact, the first couple of years, spending goes up. And then in theory, you're going to balance the budget in the last 3 or 4 years. But 5 years go by, you pass another 10-year balanced budget plan that again balances in the last couple of years. So, I think I would have voted for an alternative. There was a more conservative alternative to that plan that was offered by several conservative members of Congress, I'm pretty sure. Again, I haven't read it all, but that would have balanced the budget more quickly starting next year, not in 10 years, because that's sort of the game. And I've seen that happen again. So it's still better than what the Democrats want to do. The Democrats don't want to balance anything.
Alex, you can't balance the budget, or you can't get spending under control without doing something substantial in Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and probably defense as well, probably. But what would you cut, or what do you want to do in those areas?
Well, I actually want to give the people control over their accounts, not the government. You can personalize those, give folks more rights over where to invest it, and have more personal control, and do some reforms that way. I know Paul Ryan had an idea that the Democrats attacked him, said, "Oh, you're going to privatize, Medicare." Not privatizing. We like to use the term personalizing, so the individual has control of it. That's my belief, and you can save money by personalizing it, letting the folks have more control over it.
Well, I think the Ryan budget, I think he talks about like a premium support plan where you get an amount of money, and you would pick the Medicare plan that you want, or the health insurance plan that you want. And that's what you do support that.
Right. Yes, I support that. I absolutely support that. Great idea.
What about other things that Ryan talks about, like turning food stamps and Medicaid into block grant programs and back to the states as a way to get control of costs?
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. Department of Education as well, educational things, or a lot of things the EPA, environmental regulations. The state of West Virginia can make those decisions themselves. Mm-hmm. I'm a believer in that. Those are all good ideas.
What about
lots of good ideas?
What about Social Security? What would you do about that? Or what is your philosophy about getting Social Security?
Let's just say, first and foremost, no one's going to touch Social Security for those who've paid into it and are receiving it now. And the moment you bring that up, you'll get, any politician will get attacked, particularly the Democrats, saying you want to, take away Social Security. For younger folks, you might have to reform the system in a way, again, that personalizes it, lets them decide where to invest it, not a government program for the younger folks. For the folks who have paid in and are dealing with it now, we should keep our promises for them.
Mm-hmm. Anything like raising the retirement age or raising the amount of...
Yeah, I have to look at that. I mean, not for the folks that are on it now, or I think I don't have a specific proposal, but folks over a certain age, you wouldn't raise it. But for the younger folks, that's something you might want to consider, just because the timetables seem to show folks are living longer than when the program was first passed. So that's something it'd be reasonable to look at.
Alex,